Hello and welcome to LSP TV. I'm your host LSP, and this is part 2 of understanding the language of price, psychology, and why it matters. So today we're going to be discussing psychology. And the contents are, this is so boring, can I skip to the charts please? Why is psychology such a big deal? Why is there a divide among traders and investors on this topic? And okay, so how do I do something about this psychology you're talking about? And I've just put a little note here. If you have no idea why you are doing the things you do, then how can you change anything? So this is so boring, can I skip to the charts please? This is something that almost everybody experiences. I did when I first started learning to trade, because I learned to trade first. Had no interest in investing, and at first I had no idea what investing was. To me it was just throw your money into the market, make millions, buy all the fancy stuff and just sit on your ass and do nothing for the rest of your life. But that was not obviously how it turned out. So with that said, when I finally realized that this was going to be very difficult and a very long journey, the person that ended up kind of mentoring me and teaching me a lot of his sort of methods and methodologies, this was the first thing that he went into, my psychology, and I was like, oh my god, man, this is painstakingly, mind-numbingly boring. Can we just skip it and just get to the charts? And he said no. He says you have to work on your psychology. It's so important. He says it's something that's going to be with you for the remainder of your life, when it comes to trading and investing. He says as long as you are staring, at an investment or a trade or something that you're going to be doing when it comes to money, whether it is, gaming, in terms of poker, whether it's going to be, and I don't advocate gaming obviously or gambling, but I'm just saying it all ties in, anything to do with money, whether it's poker, whether it's investments, trading, whether it's, you're just playing sports with your friends, but the game of football, it doesn't matter. Anything where you put money on the line, psychology is involved, and he really made this clear. And as I started to understand my psychology and how it was coming out, I started to realize that my emotions were playing a big impact, on my trading, and more importantly, that they were doing that previously. Yeah, so I wasn't even aware that these things were happening in my trading, and that I was putting way too much emphasis on the things that I was seeing. So I would, open a trade, I would lose on that trade, and I would think that it was because of the pattern, or that it was because I missed something, or I wasn't paying attention, or it was always an external factor, instead of taking a step back and realizing that that wasn't the case at all. It was because of fear, or it was because of greed, or it was because of some other psychological bias that I had absolutely no idea about. So we're not skipping it, yeah? And some of you may be watching this video and thinking, I know all about this, and maybe bypass all of this. That's fine. I'm not here to tell anybody to watch this video or to, to pay attention. It might be quite lengthy, and some people might not want to go through this, but I hope you do stick it through, because there's going to be some useful information here, and, you might find some nuggets that will help you in your trading and investing. And I've put here, if you ignore the impact your psychology has on your trading and investing, it will bite back through stupidity. And again, this is an absolute. It's big, yeah. Why is psychology such a big deal? I think the biggest reason it's such a big deal is because we're not aware of it. Yeah, those who trade and invest and are not aware of their psychology won't understand that it is such a big deal. When you become aware of your psychology and how it impacts, and I'm talking specifically about trader psychology, and how it impacts your trading, when you start to realize that it's there, that it's affecting your psychology, which of these biases are affecting you, fear, greed, gambler's mentality, all these things, which are the big three, we're going to go through those soon, you start to realize, wow, this is actually a big deal, and I do need to work on this. This is something that I really need to pay attention to. And the more you start to work on it and realize that it is having an impact on your trading, the more you start to see the benefits of that going forward. Risk tolerance is a big deal, for example. Yeah, so if you're used to using, I don't know, a couple of £100, yeah, in a normal trade, and you just immediately, for some reason, fall into the trap of listening to a tip from a friend, and you decide, you know what, I'm going to take a little bit of a punt on something, and you stick £1,000 into a trade. You're not used to using that sort of money. You open the trade and immediately your body reacts. You start to feel a little bit sick, your stomach's churning, you start to feel a little bit dizzy. Your risk tolerance is just way out of whack. Yeah, you're not used to it. That's psychology. Yeah, that's your psychology is affecting your physiology, which is affecting your decision-making process, which is affecting what you're seeing on the screen, which is affecting everything. Yeah, we don't see this if we don't take a step back and say, this is actually happening to me right now. Yeah, this is not just about me opening a trade with £1,000 and I've never done it before. This is actually happening to me right now, and I need to figure this out. I can't just be throwing money at the market and just expecting everything to kind of be okay. It's huge. Your psychology really matters. Yeah, and if psychology was a tool, it would be the Swiss Army knife. We all know what a Swiss Army knife is. It's multifunctional. It is a very useful tool if you know how to pick at it the right way. Yeah, so it's big. It is a big deal. Yeah, division. Just because you can't see it doesn't mean it's not there. Okay, and why is there a divide among traders and investors on this topic? Many of you may read this statement and think, what does this have to do with what we're discussing? Over the years, when I was learning to trade, I used to speak to a lot of people. I used to have a trading room. I've coached traders. I've spoken to traders that are successful. I've spoken to traders that have lost money. And over 25 years plus, you get to speak to hundreds of people throughout that course of time. I've spoken to people online, in person, at conventions, all sorts. Yeah, and you start to realize some people don't even care about psychology. Some people don't mention it. Some people do. Some people really work on their psychology. Some people just really don't care. Yeah, and it got me thinking over the years, and it was a puzzling, not a puzzling problem, but it was really puzzling me why there was a divide among traders on this topic. Why does some traders believe it's there and it can be worked on, and it's a useful topic to get into and to work on, and why do some not care about it at all? And I found the answer to be this: those traders and or investors that are naturally successful already have that drive. They're successful in other areas in their life. They are already doing well. They already have, I don't want to say gifts, natural gifts, because yes, you may be born with, maybe a larger physique, for example, or, slightly better genetics, or, I don't know, you might be a little bit bigger than the next guy, you might be slightly faster than the next guy. But the bottom line is, if you take 100 people and they all work pretty hard, you're going to get pretty similar results. Maybe one person's slightly faster than the other, maybe one person's slightly more reactive than the other. But the point is, we know with very hard work, people can achieve, some pretty decent results. It doesn't mean you have to be perfect and amazing and win the gold medal, but you can get very good results. So we know hard work works. Yeah, that's what we're trying to get at. That's what I'm trying to get at here. But there's people that are just like that. They've grown up in an environment where they've been pushed in their life, and they're just naturally, good at speaking, for example, or going out there. They've already, had successful businesses. They've made, successful investments in their life. So when they've gravitated maybe towards trading or investing, they do it well, because they already have those qualities. They've already gone through the process of controlling that fear, maybe on an investment that they did. They bought some property. They went through that gut-wrenching feeling of putting down, 200,000-300,000 or 400,000, on a property that they didn't know was going to work out. Maybe they went through the greed, bias when they sold that property and maybe doubled their money, for argument's sake. Maybe they bought a business, that had 2 or 3 employees, and they built it to, 20 employees. All of these things, they all play a part. Somebody's life who's been successful and they've gone through whatever investments or ideas and opportunities they've gone through in their life, culminate into however they are at that moment. So when they gravitate towards trading, or maybe they see an investment, they already have those qualities. They've been through their psychology. So when somebody mentions it to them, they're like, what are you talking about? Yeah, because they're already like that. This is why I believe there's a big divide between traders. The reason I'm discussing it, though, is it doesn't matter, because whether there's a divide or not, whether traders believe it's there or not, it's there. What we as traders need to understand is, what does it mean for us? I have been trading and investing for 25 plus years, and I always work on my psychology. Many of you will not know this about me, but I am naturally I'm not going to use the word miserable, but I'm quite what's the word? I can go on a downer very easily. Yeah, it's not depression, but I can go on a downer very easily, because I can go on a high. I'm very 1,000 miles an hour, and then I go on a downer because it's too much all in one go, and it's kind of like that crash. It's not burning the candles on both ends, but you can crash, very easily, and it's something that I have to manage and maintain, and I've always been like that throughout my life, and when you go through something like that, you start to realize that it's something that you have to manage, something that you have to control. You have to schedule your time in a certain way to eliminate the way that you have to eliminate putting yourself in situations where you're going to exhaust yourself. You have to limit what's coming in, so you're not putting your brain and your resources through too much, all at once, and so on. So for me, psychology is a massive part of my life, and the way I use my psychology, the way I work on my psychology, all to say, letting you guys into my life a little bit, all to just say that we're all different, and working on your psychology for you is a personal thing. It's something that absolutely matters, regardless of whatever anybody else thinks, regardless of whatever anybody else does. You're the one that is affected by your own personal psychology, and when you work on it and you start to realize how each of these biases are affecting your trading, your investing, you start to realize which ones are in play and how you can start to change those in a positive way, so they're not affecting your decision making negatively, and you can change them so they're more positive rather than negative. So what now? Yeah, what do we do about this? Yeah, if you want to change something, you have to do something. So the big three. Yeah, changing your psychology takes time and effort. You can't just flick a switch. And when it comes to trading and investing, or anything related to money for that matter, there will always be the big three biases that have the biggest impact on your behavior and decision making. Yeah, and these are fear, greed, and gambler's mentality. All right? Learning to control these three is the first step to becoming a more grounded and well-rounded trader and investor. So fear. Fear is by far the single greatest illusion that has stopped millions of people from achieving their goals in life. Right? Of all the biases, this one is by far the greatest and will have the biggest impact on you. If you cannot control your fear, you will always gravitate towards the worst investments and behaviors. This bias affects everything you do, from what you're trading or invested in, how you trade and or invest, how you realize your profits or losses, and so on. We could discuss this bias for years, and we will still only scratch the surface. What's important is that you realize from this point forward that you absolutely must learn to control it. Greed. Greed comes in many forms, but the effect is always the same. There is a lot to be said about greed and how it impacts us throughout our life. As traders and investors, our goal is to make money, and as such, greed will always play a role. Greed is not something we can turn off, but we can learn to control its effect on us. And I'll just stop here for a second and just discuss greed a little bit more. Greed never goes away. Okay, this is something that can just come out of you out of nowhere. Yeah, you could go through 20 years, 30 years, 40 years and have absolutely no problem with greed whatsoever. And then all of a sudden, out of the blue, something comes your way. Maybe you're in an investment, maybe you have some good fortune in your life, something that's completely outside of what you're normally used to, and bang, greed kicks in. Yeah, learning to recognize greed when it comes subtly, yeah, is what's important. When it hits you in the face, that's easy. You know, you go out, this is very unlikely, but you go out, you maybe grab a scratch card once in a lifetime. You know, you're just in the moment, you think, I'll spend a couple of pounds on a scratch card, and you win £1,000,000. That's bang, that's in your face, yeah. The greed kicks in. You feel great. Yeah, I'm excited. I'm loaded. You know, I'm gonna go and I'm gonna do this, and you know, you want to maybe take 50,000 and go and dump it on some investment or whatever, and you're gonna make more. That's different. That's just in your face. You know, you can see it. There you go. It's the subtle greed that we're discussing here, and that's the one that we need to be aware of. That's the one that we need to be very careful of, and that's the one that rears its ugly head in a very clever and very manipulative, in a very manipulative way. Yeah, very subtle. Yeah. So going forward, this is the one that we're going to be paying attention to the most. A gambler's mentality. If we treat the market like a casino, the market will treat us like a casino. Yeah. Although fear is the greatest overall bias, when it comes to trading and investing, the gambler's mentality is the one that causes the most pain. It is the one that has caused divorces, repossessions, family breakups, loss of respect, total mental breakdowns, and even sadly suicides, to name a few. So taking control. Yeah, you are in control, and you are in control or you're not. It really is as simple as that. Yeah, and the first step to taking control of the biases that affect your trading and investing is to realize you are in control. Yeah. We can discuss this topic until the end of time, but if you do not decide now to take control of your psychology, any decisions you make will invariably end in failure. The way we do this is to separate what we are doing from what we want to do. We have to have an end goal in mind, so we have something to hook onto and keep our focus on where it should be. On the next slide, we're going to look at some ways that we can get started. When you know what you want, you naturally act in ways that will push you in the direction of what you want. Yeah, and this is important. When you're looking to do something, yeah, and you have a very clear, fixed idea, yep, this is the direction I want to go, this is the goal that I have, this is exactly where I want to go, yeah, and you're very determined to do that. You naturally go in that, because you're going in that direction, you naturally act in ways that push you in that direction, yeah, because everything that you're focused on is going that way, yeah. So you're instinctively looking for opportunities that will help guide you in that direction. You're instinctively looking for people that will help you get to your goal. You're instinctively looking for, opportunities, ideas. You're instinctively more creative, and so on. And everything is always going and geared towards that direction, and it becomes natural because you're so focused on that one goal. Yeah. So as we come to the end of part 2, I want you to really start to think about why you are trading or investing and what's the purpose. Yeah. We all have our own ideas. We all have our own, goals, investment ideas, goals, why we're looking to trade or invest or, engage in the market. When we sit down, to look at stocks, bonds, asset classes, whichever that may be, gold, silver, cryptocurrencies, it doesn't matter, Forex, pick one, whatever it is that you do when you sit down, when you're looking at your charts or when you're looking at your news or you're looking at, investment opportunities, trading, that means something to you. Yeah. Every individual is different. When we all sit down, even if we sit down in groups as friends and we all talk about similar topics and, ideas, in the end, there will be moments when we're sitting and we're looking at those charts and we're trying to do something for ourselves. Whatever that is personal to you, to the individual. Each person has their own individual journey and what they're trying to accomplish when they're doing their investments and their trading and whatever it is that they're trying to accomplish with their, with their trading goals. So with that in mind, you'll be surprised to know that almost everyone that I've ever mentored over the years struggled to give me a definite answer to this question. Yeah, almost nobody that I've spoken to over the years, at least specifically those that I've spent time with, yeah, not random people that I've spoken to, but people that I've spent time with, and that I've, because this is, most of the time when I've coached people, part of the first thing that I do, because I don't just coach anybody, but one of the main things that I do when I speak to people, before I, even begin to talk about trading or anything else, is why do you, what is it that you're trying to accomplish when you're trading or investing? What is it that you want to achieve when you're doing this stuff? And they just don't know. You'll be surprised as well that most people don't even say money either. They just don't know, which is very scary. Yeah, this is something that everybody should know. It's something that you should be able to reel off your tongue immediately. If somebody asks you, why do you trade? You should be able to say straight away, this is why I trade. This is why I invest. These are my goals. If you don't want to share your goals, that's different. But you should have a default response for that as well. It's not something that I want to share, but I know why I'm trading. That's different. But to say, well, I'm not really sure, I mean, that's very scary, because that means that if you're not sure why you're doing it, how can your psychology be strong enough and solid enough to be putting serious money on the line to get serious returns, that are going to change your life for the better? Yeah. So you must be able to explain why you are doing the things you are. Yeah. We're not in the business of just throwing money all over the place for no reason. Even people who gamble are doing so because they are trying to feed a need. Yeah. Think about that. People who gamble know why they are gambling. Yeah. So if you who, for example, don't gamble, and are quite naturally grounded, don't know why you're trading or investing, and you don't have a plan, then the gambler has one up on you on his psychology on that one small point. Yeah, that should scare you a little bit, right? So take some time out and think about why you are here. Yeah, it really is. Is it really for the money? Yeah, or are you trying to prove a point? Or maybe you're just following somebody else. Yeah, only you will know the why. Once you have this why, you will naturally start to become aware of the biases that are getting in the way. One of the best tools for this is your intuition, which we will go into together in part 3. Yeah. For now, I hope you have gleaned enough insights to make a start, and we will continue to build on psychology throughout this course, as it is by far the most important part. So before I end the section on this brief section on psychology, I want to be absolutely clear. This is a very short introduction on psychology, and it is by no means finished. This is just a very small introduction to the big 3. But as we go throughout the course, the psychology that I discuss is very tailored towards the way that I engage in the markets. Yeah. When I speak to traders and I start to understand the way that they think, the psychology comes out in the way that they view the charts. I have a very unique way of discussing with traders their psychology based on the way that they look at charts. Yeah. So as we continue to go through the course, and as I continue to show you guys things on the charts, and we start to engage using visual clues, you're going to start to see a lot of different things coming out that way, in terms of psychology, the biases, and lots of different things. But for now, think about the why. That's the most important thing. Think about why you're trading. Think about your goals. Yeah, you don't have to write a 15-page essay, and in fact, you don't even have to write anything at all. Yeah, this is not an essay. This is not a homework. But think about what you're doing. Think about why you're trading. Yeah, and think about some of your previous investments, even the most recent ones, and just start to break down some of maybe the negatives. Have I had, even if you're in a position that you haven't been, that you haven't touched for a complete year, if you've been stuck in something that's been positive, for 6 months, and then it went down a little bit, and you was negative for a little while, and then it was back up again, and you were making money, then you were losing money, but you haven't touched the position. How did that affect you? Were you surprised? Did it affect you negatively? Did you feel a little bit sick? Were you worried about the money that's invested? Were you happy when it went up? Were you a little bit disappointed when it went down? Yeah. All of these things tell you something about how you're engaging with your investments. And this is the key with everything that we've discussed today. How do you as the trader and or investor, engage with your investments. This is what I'm trying to really emphasize. How do you engage with your investments? Yeah, this is what we're always doing. We're engaging with our investments, and we're getting feedback. And when we get the feedback, we take what we get, and we're back and forth, and we're always trying to improve on what we're doing. So next in part 3, we're going to be discussing intuition and how it plays a role in our trading and investing, and it's going to be a very interesting topic. May confuse a lot of you as to why I would even put intuition into this, but once I go through it, and it will be available for everybody, and it will be posted on the channel as as a free video as part of the course. It will be available in the playlist, so everybody will get an opportunity to to watch this, because it's going to be a very interesting topic, and I think a lot of you will be surprised. So I look forward to doing the part for you, and I look forward to all of you reading it and giving me your feedback, or sorry, listening to it and giving me your feedback. And until then, I will speak to you soon. Take care.